This is the dangers of social media. Background. First of all, what is social media? According to Alexandra Sommer, a writer and editor, she states that social media was invented in 1997 as a way for people to communicate and express themselves on a worldwide scale with over 3.6 billion people. This is absurd considering in older times there was no feasible way to do this at any noticeable scale. Why is this important? This is because it encompasses such a large amount of population that just simply putting an idea out there and having it seen by that many people has so much more of an effect than doing something older, like putting it in a newspaper and barely any people see it. So what harm can this cause? Ideally, this would be a great thing because everyone would be nice and spread positive things. But sadly, this is not the case. Many people all purposely put down people for their own joy, and that can have very detrimental effects to the population. So my argument is that social media sets very bad examples for users to follow, exposes people to bullying very easily. Example of this is on places such as Instagram or Snapchat. You can very easily find someone's information and find pictures of them, their family, their information, and use that to bully them on ways that was never possible before. It also promotes bullying because this personal information is usually not accessible without something such as social media. You usually have to get to know them, but now it's so easy to get this information out of someone. In addition, Mayo Clinic says that social media heightens the risk for mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, worse sleep, a suffering well-being, and many more. Some problems with this is that, according to Frances Diploma, a clinical social worker, it can be associated with body image concerns, and the self-aholics and people who spend most of their time scrolling and posting are the ones most vulnerable to this. This heavily includes teens and people that are mainly on social media a lot, and they are very vulnerable to this misinformation spread on social media and the hate that can be found there. In addition, depression has been connected to social media throughout many studies, and it's shown that when one rises, the other one rises, and there's no stopping this. Dr. Ali Sari says that some people use social media to create something that are not, creating a false reality for people, and when they create it on social media, once they step off it, it means nothing, and everything they just did means nothing, and they become very depressed because of that. According to Rachel Monroe of the fast fashion stimulus, that hundreds of new items are being produced each week, and they end up just throwing it away. And this false reality on social media means nothing in about a week. Some drawbacks to social media is depression, anxiety, loneliness, and self-harm, according to Lawrence Robinson, a senior editor and executive secretary, Melinda Smith, an executive director and operations manager, says that there's a strong link in social media between an increased risk for mental and physical problems, as well as promoting negative experiences. And without social media causing all these problems, the world would be a lot happier place, and we would not have as much of these factors playing into our society. In addition to the previous drawbacks, children are forced to suppress their emotions and go with the group majority. They are hindered from expressing their full beliefs, and this can be very detrimental to society. M.J. Gelfand of the Ritualistic Synchrony stimulus states that ritualistic synchrony dates back to 20,000 to 38,000 BCE, showing that this synchrony is no new topic, but it is only now that social media is exploiting this habitual behavior, and it's never been seen like this before. Also, users are belittled for not settling with the group majority, and it causes other drawbacks, such as mentioned before, meaning that this could be the very root of all of its social media problems. Some possible solutions to this is to prevent spending less time on social media and more physical contact in the real world. This would get people off their screens, off the bullying, off the social media, and actually spend time with people outside. According to Sarah Brown, a writer and editor, some more solutions are to set limits and constrain the amount of social media use. With only a little bit each day, many people would be exposed to a lot less bullying and the mean behavior that is seen. And also, using other devices besides a cell phone would take away the accessibility that a phone has. If you need to go to your computer to use social media, it's a lot less effective than to just pick up your phone, click a few buttons. Instead, you have to turn on your computer, sign in, everything like that. And last, one solution is to have people to physically talk to talk about your problems, talk about the social media bullying, and realize that it's not as big of a deal as it seems. Some issues with this solution is that addiction is very bad. And with social media, it's very hard to simply put down the phone, put down any of the chatting with your friends, and many of these solutions wouldn't work with this highly addictive material. Also, limits are very easy to ignore. They have no physical punishment, and you can simply be like, it doesn't really matter, I don't need to listen to that. And it's also, according to David Schniver, a writer from the University of Iowa, it's much easier to communicate online instead of person, where you'd have to walk to someone's house, talk with them. Instead, you click a few buttons, stare at your screen, and hope they respond. In conclusion, social media heavily harms users more than it helps them, and there are no clear solutions to this problem. It is expected to rise with this problem, and there's no clear solution. And teens will continue to suffer until this is resolved, and all users included in social media.
Okay, thank you, Blake. Could you tell me what information did you need that you couldn't find or it was really hard to find?
Some information that's hard to find was very solid facts, like percentages, such as social media rising. There were no real true studies that showed the exact effects of social media on depression. There were definitely connections, but no specific studies that say this amount of social media time makes this much more depression, and by taking away this much, it reduces this much anxiety.
Okay. And what are the implications of your finding for us?
So this goes for all of us. I assume a lot of us use social media, and by using this, you know that there are solutions that if you can implement correctly, it'll really help depression. It can benefit all of us. We're all susceptible to this depression and these symptoms that come from all social media use. And by simply putting the phone down, you can avoid so many of the symptoms that I talked about before.
Very good. Okay, let me